Hi, Hathaway Hawks, first grade team here. We're gonna show you how to make a fun toy, a bouncy ball today. We're gonna use, Mrs. Bedard and I are going to do it two different ways and with different ingredients. And Mrs. Bedard, gonna start with her.
The bouncy ball that I'm gonna make today has different ingredients than what Mrs. Bancroft is gonna do, but they both make a bouncy ball, so you can do it either way. So the first thing that you need is cornstarch, and the second thing you need is glue. It has to be the school glue, the white glue though, because you need to mix it in the bowl. And you need 2 bowls and a measuring cup and a measuring spoon. And you need water, and you can use food coloring. If you want to make your bouncy ball colorful, you can use food coloring, but you don't have to. And if you are going to use food coloring, you should wear gloves so your hands don't get stained. I don't have gloves, so I'm going to use bags on my hands so that they don't get all full of food coloring. And then the last thing that you need, which is different than what Mrs. Bancroft has, is this stuff called borax. So you can buy this at the grocery store, you can buy it on Amazon. It's what makes the bouncy ball extra bouncy. So we'll use this in my bouncy ball recipe, and Mrs. Bancroft will not use that in hers. So that's what the difference will be. All right, so the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take your first bowl, and you're going to measure a half a cup of warm water. So I already have that here. And you're gonna pour it into the bowl. And then you're gonna take your measuring spoon, 1 tablespoon, and you're going to scoop out 1 tablespoon of borax, and you're gonna pour it into the warm water. Then you're gonna use your spoon and you're gonna mix it up just until the water gets cloudy. And then the second step would be to take your other bowl that you have, and you're gonna mix 2 tablespoons, so 2 of these, of the school glue. So I'm just gonna pour it in like this. So 2 tablespoons of the glue. And 1 tablespoon of the cornstarch. So I'm just gonna do 1 tablespoon of that in the same bowl with the glue. That's what's gonna make it hard. And then this is where you put the food coloring in too. So I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna make a blue bouncy ball. So you don't need a lot. Maybe just like 5 squirts of food coloring if you're gonna use it. And then you can mix it with a fork, or you can mix it with your hands, or both. It does get messy though, so make sure that you're using gloves if you're using food coloring. So I'm just gonna mix it. I don't know if you can really see it. I'm gonna take these off. I'm gonna come a little closer so you can see it. So it looks kind of like pasty. And if you just keep mixing it, it'll all mix together. And then the next step, after it's mixed, you can kind of see it looks pretty blue and it's kind of like goopy. You can put it into your bowl that had the water and the borax in it. I'm making a huge mess. And then you're gonna mix that together. I'm gonna come a little closer. And you get kind of like a lump of the borax and glue mixed together. And this is where I'm gonna wear my gloves. Because then I'm gonna pick it up out of the water and I'm gonna squeeze it. And I'm gonna just kind of like roll it in my hands until it makes a ball. And it does need to dry for a little while too. Mrs. Bancroft has to dry overnight, but this one probably only has to dry for like a couple of hours. If it's too wet too, you can kind of squeeze it out and then just roll it up again in your hands the same way. But see how messy it gets when you don't wear gloves? So it's gonna look kind of like this when you're all done. It's gonna be a little ball like this. And once it sits, it'll get harder. See how it's like not goopy anymore? It'll get harder, and then that's when you can start to use it. So that's the recipe that I have. And now Mrs. Bancroft is gonna take over, and I'm gonna wash my hands.
All right, thank you, Ms. All right, my bouncy ball has a few less ingredients. Mine only has cornstarch, 1 bowl, water, and food coloring. So the first direction says, put the cornstarch into a container. So I'm doing 2 tablespoons. If you can see. 2 tablespoons. This. Make sure it is a microwavable container because we will be microwaving this. All right. After that, it's asking you to mix the water with the cornstarch. Now you're using 1/8 of a cup of water into the cornstarch. You see, I'm just mixing that up. All right, just like before, it's gonna get very milky. So it's nice and mixed up. All right, 1 drop of food coloring. I am going to use pink. Or I guess that's a little bit of purple. Actually, nope, that's purple. All right, so if you guys can see that? You know, and now I am going to microwave it for 30 seconds. So I will be right back. All right, in the meantime, I can clean up my stuff, put the food coloring away, the cornstarch away. I can put on my gloves because I'm going to be forming it into a ball, just like Mrs. Bedard. If you do not have plastic gloves at home, you can use plastic bags on your hands. Pretty cool. All right, all set, 30 seconds, very quick. It will be warm. So once it's microwaved, you can see it's a lot harder. So I'm gonna use my spoon, kind of move it around. It's feeling very rubbery already. Make sure before you touch it, it's not too hot, right? And just like how Miss Bedard did, I'm going to roll it around into a nice ball. Right? Very, very rubbery. Cool. Yeah. All right. So once my bouncy ball's formed to a nice little ball, I am now going to put it down. I'm going to put it on a paper towel and let it sit overnight. Right? When I wake up in the morning, the bouncy ball will be fun enough to play around the house and outside with.
The other thing is too, if you leave your bouncy ball on the counter or the table or the floor for too long, it'll get flat on one side because it's sitting in one spot for too long. If you just roll it again in your hand, it'll go back to a ball shape and you'll be able to use it again. All right, so that's a fun activity you can do, especially on a rainy day like today with your family, with some stuff that you already have at home. So we miss you.
We miss you and hope to see you soon.